I've been invited to offer 3 reflections from the life of King David based around partnerships. The partnerships which he had in his life, or at least some of them. So I've chosen 3 incidents in David's life which I hope will help us to think about how valuable partnerships were to him. Life-giving, empowering partnerships. But my approach, as ever, will be slightly different in that I want to emphasize that I'm seeing these partnerships as very mutual. There's no sense of hierarchy in these partnerships that David is a part of. In fact, I think he mirrors in these 3 examples something of the partnership in the gospel that the Apostle Paul models to us in the New Testament, but also that in fact God himself invites us into with him. That he invites us to partner with him in his mission in the world. God is on mission. He always has been on mission and continues to be on mission. And he invites us to partner with him. So here's the first episode. And it comes from 1 Samuel chapter 16. And it's when Samuel anoints David. So you'll remember that Samuel, under the Lord's leading, is looking to anoint someone who will become a king of Israel. But David is an unlikely choice. And there's the first word that I want to use in this particular episode, which is that partnerships can be surprising. In other words, God will bring people across our path who are unlikely partnerships, unlikely allies, unlikely friends, unlikely folk that he will use in our lives. And the verse I have in mind for this surprising partnership is 1 Samuel 16, where it says, "So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. Samuel then went to Ramah." So my point is that as people, we need to be willing to be surprised by who God invites us to partnership with. So David, at this point, as he's anointed by Samuel, is coming into a partnership with Samuel in this relationship. And it's the beginning of an incredible life of ministry. So as David strengthens himself in the Lord, which I know is a theme that we're all familiar with, it's about actually being in the place, doing what he needed to do, which was looking after the sheep, being a shepherd, being obedient to his father, and God sought him out. Now I pray that will be a real encouragement to us. A few years ago now, probably nearly 10 years ago, I turned round to someone in our church. I noticed that he tended to arrive as the service was starting and leave just before it finished. And I was intrigued by this young guy, and I deliberately sat in front of him one Sunday morning and turned round and said at the end of the service, "What's your name?" That's all I said to him. "What's your name?" And he told me his name was Jonathan McCreary. And I said, "Oh, and what brings you here to this church? And why are you in Worcester?" And he then told me that he was a student. And anyway, we got chatting, and I said, "Why don't we have a coffee sometime, you and I? I'd like to get to know you a bit better." He's told me subsequently he thought that was really weird for somebody to do that after church on a Sunday morning. But anyway, that's nearly 10 years later. And this morning, I'm recording this on the 17th of June. This morning, I spoke to him online from the project which he manages in Durban, South Africa, Live Village. So here we are 10 years on from that surprising encounter on that Sunday morning. It's gone on to an incredible relationship between the two of us. Started off as a mentoring relationship, then has become a really great friendship. And now I find myself so blessed as I see how God has led him, how our partnership has been such a blessing to me and hopefully has empowered him, how I've been able to encourage him to strengthen himself in the Lord, to take time out regularly, to be with God, to hear what God's got to say to him, and to seek to be obedient to God's plans. So there's my first example of an empowering, life-giving partnership. 1 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 13. So I hope that inspires you. Be on the lookout. You never know how you might be surprised.